come together at a unique moment, not only in the life of our union, but in the history of our nation. A moment when working families are struggling for survival. A moment when income inequality is at its highest level since the Great Depression. And unionization, the ticket to a better life, is almost at its lowest. A moment when good jobs are harder and harder to find and to keep. And when the words retirement and security no longer seem to go together. A moment when public service workers are asked again and again and again to give up what we've won through the years and years of struggle, decent wages and benefits, and a voice at work. This moment is captured in the stories of our members, sisters like Leah Lipska from Wisconsin. Lee is not here, but plenty of our sisters and brothers from the Badger State, the state that sparked our Main Street movement, are in this hall. Give them a round of applause for what they do every single day. Aside from Leah's full-time job, working for the state of Wisconsin, she's been forced to take a part-time job at a local pizza place. But even that's not enough to make up for her pay cut, since Governor Walker stripped public employees of collective bargaining rights. For this, Walker has won praise in some circles, but not from working families. As Leah says in Wisconsin, Walker is no hero. He has stolen our American dream. Now, Leah could have thrown up her hands. She could have given up. But that's not what she did. In fact, that's not what AFSCME members have done throughout this nation. Because of the example we set and the coalitions we built, millions of people have not given up, but stood up. We've stood up to say, enough. Enough of the politicians who are on a crusade to sell our roads, our bridges, our jobs, and our future. Enough of the terrible budget choices and misplaced priorities that have devastated working families, destroyed our pensions, and decimated public service. Enough of the extreme overreaching laws that have silenced voices and stolen our rights. Across this nation, I've met countless AFSCME members who have said enough. And we are not giving up. We are just getting started. We are just getting started. We are people like Claudine Wilkins Chambers, president of Local 3429, Council 4 in Connecticut. Claudine was fed up with the city's crusade to privatize jobs and lay off workers. She and other Council 4 and Council 15 members worked day and they worked night to elect aldermen who would fortify instead of weaken New Haven's public services. The aldermen they elected include Sisters Jeanette Morrison and Jacqueline James, members of Local 2663. Give yourselves a round of applause, Connecticut. You did a good job. Did a good job. Claudine said this: we knew we had to make a change, and together, we did. We are people like James Atkins, a corrections officer in Ohio. He set out last spring to collect 1,000 signatures to stop SB 5, Governor Kasich's union-busting law. But once James got rolling, this brother, he couldn't stop. He wound up putting 3,000 miles on his truck and collecting nearly 2,000 signatures. I understand James's dedication. You know, I was a state worker in Ohio before we had the right to collectively bargain. And I know how our lives changed for the better after we won our rights. Governor Kasich wanted to bring back those old days. But AFSCME, we will never go back, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Our sisters and brothers in Michigan are on the march too. You know, Snyder tried to silence them with a law that allows him to put hand-picked managers in charge of local governments and school districts. These unelected dictators can break our contracts, and they can steal our rights. Well, our members said, hell no. They collected 200,000 signatures on petitions to force a vote. All right, Michigan. And guess what the governor tried to do? He tried to block the will of the people. He and his cronies said our petitions used the wrong size lettering. The wrong size lettering. But a court saw through their desperate ploy. Because of Council 25's tenacity, that law is headed for the ballot in November. And we're going to win. We're going to win. Governor Snyder, there is still, and this is still a democracy, and this is our democracy. And that's not all we've done in the great state of Michigan. In partnership with the entire labor movement, we've placed an amendment on the ballot to make the right to organize and the right to collectively bargain constitutional rights. Collective bargaining will be a fundamental right for all in the state of Michigan. And if we stand together, sisters and brothers, if we stand together, no one will be able to take it away. Of course, we've had our setbacks, and our sisters and brothers are suffering. Telling their kids, I can't afford to pay your tuition next year. Choosing between putting dinner on the table and keeping the lights on. Losing homes in foreclosures. Yes, AFSCME members are in real pain. But we are also mad as hell and we aren't taking anymore. And for AFSCME, that means we're taking action. In this defining moment, AFSCME is too important to the future of our nation to do anything but continue to fight for our nation every single day. In this defining moment, AFSCME can and must lead the way. And in the past 2 years, we've been more active, we've been more energized, more fired up than ever before. The AFSCME family has built broad coalitions around the country, reaching beyond labor to engage and mobilize activists. Through our Next Wave program, we're cultivating young leaders who will guide us into the decades ahead. Next Wavers aren't the next generation of leaders, you are the now generation of leaders. We're also working more closely than ever before with locals and with councils, implementing battleground programs that represent true partnerships and putting staff and resources on the ground in state after state after state. Many of our new strategies and tactics come directly from what you've said in meetings, town halls, and one-on-one conversations. We cannot defeat the attacks against us if we are not looking at ourselves and finding new ways to tell our story. We've innovated and overhauled the way we communicate. We've learned that AFSCME members are increasingly using smartphones, so we've turned to texting and mobile apps. We are now the #1 union on Facebook, and that means tens of thousands of our members are connecting and they're communicating. With the Faces and Voices program, we are becoming spokespersons in the fight for our rights. But yes, we're still using all of our traditional tools. We're out there door knocking, we're out there phone banking, and we're marching nearly every single day. But we're not just fighting back, we're moving forward. There's no denying that we've lost some members, sisters and brothers. But in the past 2 years, AFSCME has also organized 50,000 new members. 50,000. That's 50,000. 50,000 men and women in Maryland, in Missouri, in Pennsylvania, in Iowa, in Washington, in Illinois, in California, in Georgia, in Tennessee, in Texas, in Utah. 50,000 new members, sisters and brothers. And they are now on the front lines with us. The true test of resilience is not whether our union can organize when it's easy, but whether we can organize when it's hard. We can, and we are. Now, our resilience makes the politicians nervous, and it should. You know who they are. They're in office from California to New York. Well, they have a short-term lease, but we have a long-term plan. We have a long-term plan. And let's get one thing straight, right now, today, in this hall. This has nothing to do with political party. We're being jerked around by both Democrats and Republicans. So we must be clear. We must be clear that this isn't about conservative versus liberal, or right versus left. It's about what's right versus what's wrong. That means holding politicians accountable, whether Democrat or Republican, holding them accountable for every bad choice and misguided move they make. AFSCME, if they come after us, whether they're Democrat or Republican, we're going after their asses. And we're not backing down in any state, any city, or any neighborhood. Whether it was the Wisconsin uprising that set the tone for our fights across the country, or the California home care workers of UDW and COO standing up for the elderly and disabled, we don't back down. Whether it was AFSCME in New Jersey fighting for our pensions and our right to bargain health care, or to keep Vineland Developmental Center open, or SPU Council 95, winning back bargaining rights in Puerto Rico, we don't back down. Whether it was in Ohio, crushing Senate Bill 5 by a 2-to-1 margin, or Alaska State Employees Association, Local 52, fighting to restore security, we don't back down. We don't back down. Whether it is AFSCME retirees phone banking and lobbying all over the country, give a hand for our retirees of this great union, sisters and brothers. Or whether it's AFSCME Pride fighting for domestic partner benefits and against discrimination, we don't back down. You know, I don't know whether AFSCME members are born fighters or become fighters, but I do know that the fighting spirit never leaves us. Casey Frederickson, a next waiver from Iowa Council 61, proves it. Now listen to this. Her job was helping unemployed Iowans find work. But when Governor Branstad closed most of the state's unemployment offices, she was suddenly jobless herself. Well, Casey keeps paying her AFSCME dues even though she's no longer a state worker. She decided that if you can't beat them from the outside, then join them on the inside and beat them there. Today, with our help, today she is running for the Iowa House of Representatives, and with our help, Casey will win. As we are fighting, however, we know the outcome of our struggles is far from determined. We have the potential to change lives and uplift our nation. But the journey, it won't be easy. You know, like the saying goes, in order to get from what was to what will be, you must go through what is. That's pretty deep, isn't it? Pretty deep. The hardest work we have begins when we leave this convention. Our success or failure will mark a turning point not only for our union, but for the entire labor movement. That's a heavy responsibility. Yet I believe we have the strength to carry the load. To do it, we must go home even more fired up, even more dedicated to being the leaders that AFSCME and our nation need. We must rededicate ourselves to building up and strengthening our locals, reaching out to our communities and inspiring this mass movement. We must re-elect President Obama and Vice President Biden. We must do that. The only choice for the working families of this great nation. We must demand good-paying jobs. The only road back to a solid working middle class. We must not allow the right-wing media and pundits to diminish, to devalue, and diss the public sector. Because we are not a you're-on-your-own nation. We are a united, we stand nation. We must restore retirement security from New York to California, rebuild public services from Hawaii to Puerto Rico, overturn right-to-work laws from Indiana to Florida, take back our rights in every place they have been stolen. We know how to reach these goals, sisters and brothers. We reach these goals through solidarity. 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 The 1,000 things we have in common matter much, much, much more than our 10 points of difference. Together, there is nothing we cannot achieve. Whatever we go through, whether we win a victory or suffer a disappointment, reaffirms our faith in our union, in each other, in our collective power. Change, as Dr. King said, does not roll in the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. We must believe. All of us in this room must believe in this struggle, AFSCME. And so, sisters and brothers, if you believe as I believe that the spirit of Wisconsin guides us, let us fight for our rights together. Together. If you believe as I believe, that working hard and playing by the rules remain the values that define us, then let's uphold those values together. If you believe as I believe, that our voices are stronger united rather than divided, then let's raise our voices together. Together. If you believe as I believe, that our union is powerful enough to stand up for all working people, then let's stand up together. If you believe as I believe, that a stronger AFSCME can build a stronger America, then sisters and brothers, let's build that country together. God bless our nation. God bless our union. God bless you. Thank you very much.